metaphysic is actually true, I think it tells us something about the God of Israel and the God of the church, which is that this is a God who's very daring. This is a God who really is going to push beyond the boundaries of our rationality and our feelings to try to reveal to us what it is like for God to be God. I mean, most people in any relationship don't really do that. It's very, very rare, even with someone who's like your wife or your parent or your best friend, to just really, really push into trying to reveal what it's like for Brent to be Brent and for Alex to be Alex. I mean, it's a very daring, dangerous sort of way for God to be God.
Yeah, I think there's an element of shock in that, and I would always want to, especially in communicating with another monotheist from outside Christianity, like a Jewish or Christian, I would want to guard this sense that when I speak of shock or daring, which I would endorse those words, I don't mean therefore he is reduced to our level or that we exhaustively understand him and ever could. No, absolutely not. But he does have the capacity, and he shockingly has the desire and love to make himself known in ways that we could have never crawled our way up to. And so there is an element of daring there. And there's so many ways of going at that. But I guess that is one thing that's fundamental to our sense of how God has made himself known in Christ, whose spirit has been poured out on us. And that is, God actually wants to be known by us. He wants relationship. Now it's dynamic relationship. It's reciprocal relationship. It is asymmetrical. We're monotheists. He's creator. We are not. That never changes. We never exhaust him or control him by our knowledge. But it's still an actual dynamic reciprocal relationship, even as it's asymmetrical. And if you could conceive of God in other ways, and he could just be some sort of inert, inaccessible entity, singular, opaque entity that somehow utters commands and we do or don't at our own peril, and that's the sum of our relationship. That's possible. I don't think it's life-giving. I don't think it's hopeful. I don't think it's what we need. And this brings in another controversial Christian doctrine, because I think we were made for him, made to know him, that some mysterious, inexplicable way he takes delight in us because we're made in his image. And so I think God goes beyond that remote, opaque entity just issuing commands. And he makes himself known. And when we begin to know him, we find out that even without us, eternally in perfect, pure bliss, in perfect contentment, without any need, he already is a dynamic community of pure, hot, searing love. And it's amazing. And so, yeah, they're two very different approaches to what that one God is like. And I think those approaches make a great deal of difference.
And love is that virtue whereby we can place the good of the other above our own. And I think the monadic God of Islam, with all due respect for my Muslim colloquiators, they cannot say that God is love. I don't think a monadic God could be loving in and of himself, aside from a creation, whereas the triune God can be and is a community of love outside of time, because love necessarily ontologically appears, as far as I can tell, to require the other. But anyway, we don't have to talk about that.
Yeah, that's part of the mystery of like oneness, and that's not just lip service. Real oneness. God is one. Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is one. That's our confession. Amen. But it's oneness with this mysterious distinction that creates a space for love. And it's not coming out of a place of need or dependence. God didn't make the world to fill some gap. He is whole and perfect, and a beautiful community of love as one. And then out of his freedom, he makes us and calls us. And yeah, I think there's just something stunningly hopeful there. It speaks, I think, to the cry of the human heart.